Here's a nice chart. This is the bottommost level of security for most people. And most people can create this level of security by using the router that the Comcast or Cox gives them and one additional router. See, most people, this broadband modem and this first router, most people already have. You see what I'm saying? But most people don't have the second router. They're usually too lazy to throw in their own. I know most of you, about half of you have your own second router, but are you using it intelligently? Well, here's the question. The less secure router connects to or is part of your connection to your internet service, okay? The more secure router on the right is your connection to the important stuff in your life, okay? Now, the what you should connect to the less secure router is your TV and your cameras and your refrigerator because the whole world gets into that. How do I know that? The first camera I bought was from a very reputable company in this country. And while I was reading the disclosures when I was installing it, it said, we have a right to access your camera at any time, 24 hours a day, whenever we feel like it, to update it and to defend it from hacks from outside uh, troublemakers. Well, if they can get in, that means that they are in your network, right? And this was a very honest company. The company's name is D-Link. You probably heard of it, D-Link, and they make a very nice set of cameras, and they disclose everything, and they let you know we can get into your network whenever we want. Well, not every company does that. Then I went to some information, I'm not going to show it to you, that was distributed by the FBI in Portland, Oregon. And they said the following cameras have malware or modules inside them that send unknown amounts of data to the manufacturer in China. And so they said to people, you better install some way to block all that. Well, most people don't, right? The least thing you can do is it, put your important stuff on a second router. I know half of you have that, but are you going to also put your TV and your smart refrigerator and everything else on the same exact router? That's the mistake most people make. So if you hook your your separate router or your second router to the first router, it gives you a much more secure environment to keep out the troublemakers. Dr. Sandok just sent out that thing about, I don't know if he was the one, no, someone else sent out the fact that there's a million computer botnet out there with a million computers that are about ready to stop on our elections. Did you all see that? Some kind of a botnet created by by some Russian-speaking people. If you have this two-router configuration, you're a lot more secure than if you don't have two. And if to get even more secure, you need to go to three. Okay, like I have in my house here. Okay, what else can I say? If you go here, secure routers, and you go to three routers, it's even more secure. And I'll explain to you why. Let's go 2 plus. This is it right here. All right, let's make that bigger. Let's see if we can find that. Three routers. That's the minimum for government and businesses. I don't know of anybody. Of course, some of the routers are now virtual inside the routers that people sell you, but those virtual routers that create more than one router inside a router are beyond the ability of most people to pay for. So for most of us, it's easier to buy two dumb routers or three dumb routers and block the troublemakers in the world. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where that is. Somewhere around here, I have a good diagram. Okay, of three routers. Well, that's not a bad diagram, is it? Okay, let me make that bigger. How's that? Okay, you see there's the modem, then there's the main gateway router. Or most of us, we get both of those in one thing that we get from Cox Comcast requests, right? That's one box. Then there's a trusted router and an untrusted router. And the trusted routers where we do our banking and all the important stuff. And the untrusted routers where we put all those cameras that report back to Mother China or Russia, and the smart thermostats and all those other nonsense that people buy. If you have it set up like that, you're 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 at least creating a network that's as safe as you'll find in most businesses. And our people in our professional SIG may or may not do it that way. There's also boxes that have more than one router in them, like a Sonic wall box or a Ubiquity router. Okay, and this is bare minimum for security. I wouldn't dream of putting anything other than this level in somebody's house or business. Okay, now the cost is not that much, right? How much does a router cost now? About 100, 200, depending on whether or not you want Wi-Fi 6 and some of the newer technologies, right? So it isn't as much as it used to be. So this configuration is bare minimum. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They won't tell you that in a Best Buy. Okay. So if you get these 3 routers put into your home, you will have blocked 99% of the troublemakers out there. Okay. So most of you already have 2 routers in your homes, at least half of you, because you bought one in addition to the crappy router that you got from Comcast, Cox, or Quest, right? So if you just hook things up correctly, you'll have a lot of it blocked. Now, there's one thing that most of the experts on routers don't like about this configuration, where you only have 2, and you're putting in your TVs and all the important stuff on the router that the internet supplier gives you as part of their box. And what they don't like is the fact the internet supplier is an unknown. If they have a dishonest employee there, they can probably get into your network from there, right? So that's an unknown. So a lot of people say that unknown isn't good enough for my law firm or my little business. So they add in the 3rd router. Okay, gives you an unknown. And second of all is, if you have computers tied into the trusted router on the right, and people are sharing files and printers and all this other stuff between them, which is very common, right? When you have more than one computer. If you then catch a problem in computers or in the TVs or your cameras on the left side, the person in the secure side can accidentally copy the problem files on the left side if you don't use a 3rd router there, if you just use the one provided by the internet supplier. And that's a less likely case, but it's not good enough for law firms, medical offices. They have to conform to HIPAA or these other things to have a bunch of equipment tied directly in to the router that's supplied by the internet supplier. So you won't find anything other than this as a bare minimum in a law office or medical office. This is bare minimum safety. And when I worked for a big company, this was the expected configuration when you had any kind of data that you didn't want other employees to see or the outside world to get to. So this was standard. Okay, so it's called 3 routers. And so, what else can I tell you about?
Try one more time to look.
So anyhow,
So there's how many routers you
now look at this diagram. It's got the border router on the top. That's the router that lets in the world. Okay, most of us get that border router from the internet supplier, right?
Video connect.
And look at he's got some of his webcams in a secure area, right? So those are the secure ones that probably don't have to get out to the real world like a nanny cam or a baby cam. Okay.
I did reconnect.
On the left, if he was trying, he didn't care about having something get out to the world for upgrades and things. He would put on the left some of the less secure cameras. See? So you end up with this silly configuration, which is kind of a Y shape between 3 routers. Okay?